Yo, 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 check it. We got three kinds of lines. Three kinds of lines. Lines to A and lines to B. Vertical lines are called C. We got three kinds of lines. Make perspective drawings look darn fine. Make perspective drawings look darn fine. It's three kinds of lines. Three kinds of lines. The drawing starts with an initial line. Make yours look just like mine. Now draw a line from the top to A and from the top to B. Now bottom to A and bottom to B. Now choose the place where you want the sides. Draw two verticals, easy as pie. Grab an eraser and eliminate. You got a 2-point cube, man. Isn't that great? Now add some holes, chisels and staggers, graffiti, arrows, and some awesome paint splatters. Way to go. Mad respect. A 2-point cube that's so complex. You did it all in no time because you used three kinds of lines. Three kinds of lines. Three kinds of lines. Lines to A and lines to B. Vertical lines are called C. We got three kinds of lines. Make perspective drawings look darn fine. Make perspective drawings look darn fine. It's three kinds of lines. Three kinds of lines.
Drawing holes and drawing chisels, drawing stackers and drawing neat arrows.
It's three kinds of lines. Three kinds of lines.
Hi, Kevin Longley here. I hope you enjoyed L Dog's rap song. I know I sure did. I've got that thing bumping in my Honda Accord daily. The goal of the next project is to create a complex 2-point cube illustration that emphasizes space and depth. To accent this illustration, we're going to apply some graffiti-styled arrows and some paint splatters to give the illustration some visual movement. We are also going to be rendering these in colored pencil and ink. Good luck. Be sure to read all project handouts and follow all video instructions, including tutorials on how to use advanced 2-point perspective techniques. By following these videos, you will be sure to have a more successful end result to your 2-point perspective project. I hope you enjoyed L Dog's rap song. That was pretty impressive. I want to talk to you about 2-point perspective drawing. There are only 3 kinds of lines that you're going to use in a 2-point perspective drawing. The first kind are lines C. They're vertical lines that go straight up and down. And you're going to notice in this little diagram here, they're all parallel to each other. The second kind of line are converging lines back to point A. So these lines are diagonal and go back to vanishing point A. One there, and there's a couple small ones over here that if we extend them out, they go back to A. And the last kind are converging lines back to point B. They are diagonal, and there's going to be a couple over here. Nothing else, no other kinds of lines. A, B, and C. 3 kinds of lines. We're going to draw a basic cube in using 2-point perspective. First, you're going to start with an initial line, and on your worksheet I have that provided for you down here. It's a vertical line. From the top of that vertical line, we're going to draw converging lines back to point A and point B, and from the bottom of that line, we're going to draw converging lines back to point A and point B. Once you finish that, you should have what looks kind of like a kite. Now you want to establish the thickness of your cube with 2 vertical lines on the sides. You can make it thin, you can make it really super wide, but in this case we want the sides to be the same, so we're going to make it look like a cube just by adding 2 vertical lines. There's one, and another one over here. And this is what your cube should look like. Again, all the vertical lines are parallel. All right, here are a few advanced techniques to make your 2-point perspective drawings pop and make them complex. We're going to start out by creating our cube, as you've already done. Here we go. We're going to erase the extra lines. And now we're ready to start drawing the hole in the cube. If you notice on the example, it starts with a vertical line that's parallel to all the other verticals. And from the top and bottom of that line, we're going to draw back to point A. I'm not going to go all the way back to A. I'm going to go ahead and kind of stop it. In a sense, you can say that we're just drawing the opening of the window or the hole. Some extra here. Now, from the top corner, it's above our eye level. So from that top and bottom corners of the hole, I'm going to draw a line back to B. And this is going to give the optical illusion that we can see the inside walls through that hole, like we can travel in there. Drawing a simple chisel. Once again, we're going to make our 2-point cube. Lines to A, lines to B from our initial line. And we're going to make the sides. Erase the extra. We want to make this look like a chisel has taken out a chunk from the sides of this cube. We're going to start with a vertical line that goes maybe a third of the way down the side of the cube. From the bottom of that line, we're going to go back to B. And once again, I'm not drawing all the way back to B, but it's lined up with B. And we're going to end that chisel with a vertical line up. From the corner, we're going to go ahead and line that up with A and draw it back to A, and then we're going to erase the lines we don't need. Now it looks like we've got a chisel or a gouge taken out. On the other side, we're going to repeat and do the same process. Vertical line up, and from the top of that vertical line, we're going to go back to A. And we're going to make another vertical here. And at the bottom here, we're going to line the corner up with B and draw that line back and erase our excess, and we have what looks like a chisel or gouge. Now we're going to draw a chisel in the middle of our cube. So it's like a chunk's been taken out of the center. So once again, we're going to draw our initial cube here. You're going to notice that the initial line in the center is segmented. That's because we can't erase the ink. So I wanted to provide you with a segmented line. And from the bottom of the top initial line, we're going to go back to B and back to A. And from the top of the bottom initial line, we're going to go back to B and A. We're going to establish the size of the hole or chunk that's going to be chiseled out of the center of this 2-point cube. Back to B, and we're going to close that side off with the vertical here. Take the bottom back to A, top's already done, and we're going to finish that edge off. Now, from the corners, we're going to try to establish the inside walls. So this line here is heading back to B from this corner, so we're going to draw that. And from the bottom, we're going to go back to B as well. From the far right corner, we're going to line that up with A. Extend this one out a little further here. And from the top right corner, we're going to go back to A. And we extend that one out a little bit more. Now where these two lines cross, you're going to draw a vertical line, and that's going to give you where the back walls meet. And there's a chisel in the middle of your cube. All right, we're going to draw a hole or a window with a ledge. So let's start off by drawing our base cube first. And this, you're going to find this is just like the hole, except we're going to give it a little bit more dimension. We're going to put kind of a ledge in there to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. So we're going to start with our line to establish the height of the hole. And from the top and bottom of that line, we're going to go back to B, just like the hole example. Extends to B. And we're going to close that hole off with a vertical line. Now's where the fun begins. From the corners, we want to try to create that little ledge. So we got to give it a little edge there. And from those corners, we're going back to point A. You don't have to draw it all the way back to A, just kind of make it a short line. So we'll make sure it's aligned with vanishing point A. I'm going to go ahead and connect those two with the vertical line. Now where the vertical and the diagonals meet there, we're now going to draw lines back to vanishing point B. And this is going to give the appearance that your hole has kind of a ledge to it. And now for the inside lines, to see the inside walls, what we're going to do is we're going to line up the outside corner, top and bottom corner, with point A. So up here, line that up with point A, and you're just going to draw it inside that hole. And there you have a hole with a ledge. All right, one of my favorite techniques is creating staggers. It looks like blocks are staggered together. So we're going to make our initial cube. And I'm going to go ahead and start to draw in all these verticals here. Looks like there's 7 verticals. Make sure they're all parallel. Now, once you have finished that, making your verticals, you're going to, it's really pretty simple. From those corners, top corners, where those vertical lines meet, you're going to draw lines back to B on the left side, and on the right side, they're going to go back to A. So we draw a little line there from the top and the bottom. And on this one, same thing, top and bottom back to B. And over here on the right side, we're going to line those back up with A. And once you erase your excess lines, you've got stagger. Kind of looks like a group of buildings that are next to each other going back into the distance. This time we're going to draw an angled chisel. So it's a lot like the regular chisel, but this time it's angled. So we're going to draw our initial cube first. And we can go ahead and erase the extra lines that we don't need. We're going to put our angled chisel on the left side of the cube. And we're going to start with a vertical here. And from the top of that vertical and the bottom, we're going to draw a line back to A. I'm going to make this line long, and the bottom one I'm going to make a little shorter. I want this to look kind of like an L, an upside down L. I'll draw a vertical line here to make the opening, and a line back to A, and another vertical line. Now to make the inside walls, we're going to draw a line from the corners back to B. So those inside walls look like they recede back into the opening. One down here at the bottom, and a line up here in the top corner. There you go, you got an angled chisel. Drawing ribbons and arrows. You're going to notice that there's an initial line here. On the ends of the initial line, you're going to draw vertical lines that are parallel and the same height. This is establishing the thickness of the ribbon. Once you have those completed, all you're going to do now is you're going to replicate the top edge of the ribbon on the bottom. So it's a line that's parallel to the initial line. You kind of connect those. And it should appear like it's a bent ribbon. Making an arrow, same thing as a ribbon. We've got our initial line here. This time your vertical lines are angled. They're diagonal, but they're still parallel to each other. So I'm going to go ahead and draw those from the ends of the ribbons and the folds. And there's some in the back here. Once again, make them the same size. Now we have to establish the bottom of that ribbon, and you're making a line parallel to the initial line. It looks something like that. This one's a little bit more difficult. You're going to have to draw your own initial line here. Going to kind of make it a squiggly, curvy line. And our next step is we are going to establish the thickness of this ribbon. And you're going to notice that these lines are kind of more horizontal, diagonal. And again, I'm making them all the same direction. They're all parallel. They're all the same size. Go ahead and draw a line parallel to the initial line to establish the bottom of the ribbon. And we'll cut that off at the end there. There you have it. Ribbons, arrows. Okay, we want to set up your drawing surface, set up your paper for your final drawing here. I've got a 12 by 18 sheet of white paper. I'm going to measure up 6 inches from the bottom and put point A on the left edge, and 6 inches up from the bottom and put point B on the right edge. I'm going to measure 3 inches in from the side, left side of the paper, measure twice, connect those measurements with a straight line. And I'm going to do the same thing on the right side of the paper. Measure in 3 inches, connect your measurements, and make a straight line. The area inside the 2 vertical lines is going to be your drawing space. This is where you're going to do all of your drawing. The area outside that we will cut off later. Now you're going to establish your initial line for your giant complex cube. You're going to make that line pretty long, maybe about 1 inch from the top and bottom. I'm going to go ahead and make my generic cube by connecting the initial line, top and bottom, back to A, points A and B. And we want to establish the thickness of the cube. Remember, it's got to fit inside your drawing area, so I'm going to maybe go about 1 inch in here and 1 inch in on this side. So now I should have a giant cube, giant starting point. Using the techniques that you practiced earlier, try to make this cube as complex as you possibly can, following the rules of 2-point perspective, using only 3 kinds of lines. Lines to A, lines to B, and vertical line C. Once you're finished drawing your illustration, you're ready to outline. When you use an outlining pen and you want to use a ruler, you don't want to mess up this nice, neat drawing by not using a ruler when you outline. It's nearly impossible to outline a straight line freehand. So take your ruler, be careful, go slow. I like to outline the lines that are going the same direction. I like to outline all of those first, and then I switch to another set of lines that go a different direction. Okay, but you want nice, clean, even, smooth lines. Once you've finished outlining your drawing, you're almost ready to color. It's kind of a good idea, in my opinion, to label your drawing with the colors that you're going to use. So I'm going to say that there's a light source on the left side, and I'm going to draw L's on all of the left sides that I see, the left faces. And the L is going to stand for my light color. On the right faces, I'm going to write the letter M, and this is going to stand for a medium color or medium value. And on the underneaths or bottoms, I'm going to write D for dark value. You want to try to keep this consistent. So the underneath sides, I'm making all of those dark. I forgot a medium there. Here we go. So light equals a light color. In this case, I'm going to use green. M equals a medium color. I'm going to use just regular green, and D is going to stand for dark green. So you're ready to color. We've got our drawing labeled. I'm going to be using light green, green, and dark green. And there's my light green colored pencil. It's kind of a yellow green. Here's my medium green. It's called grass green. And here's my dark green, which is called dark green. I'm going to start with the light green here. Find all your L's. You can go ahead and erase the L. And then you're going to place the color in there. I recommend that you use flat coloring. My pencil strokes are going to be very close together, going in the same direction. In this case, they're going up and down. I'm trying to get a smooth, even coating of colored pencil. You can use the cross-hatching technique to make this even smoother. So I'm going to go back and apply another coat in the opposite direction. Again, I'm keeping my lines close together, parallel to each other, trying to get a nice even coating here. This is flat color. There's no shading involved. It's all one smooth, solid color. I'm going to add my medium color here, in this case, green, medium value. And once again, I'm going to apply a smooth, flat color. Strokes are close together and in the same direction. I'm going to go ahead and cross hatch this. So I'm going the opposite direction. I'm maintaining consistent pressure, pretty light pressure. And I'm trying to make this as smooth as possible. And you can go back and touch up areas if you need to. Erase a little bit there. And finally, I'm going to use my dark green for my undersides. Once again, I'm going to place a flat color, strokes close together, same direction, and I'm going to apply the cross-hatching technique to get this to appear smooth and flat. And to continue this process through the rest of your illustration, you can use go ahead and color all the same sections at one time, or you can alternate. It's completely up to you. But I think that the label really helps keep your illustration organized, and it will make your overall color scheme and color appearance seem organized as well. Light greens where the L's are, my medium colors where the M's are, and dark greens where the D's are. Okay, I've got a little section here completely colored in with flat color. I want to talk about adding shading and layering to enhance the depth of this two-point drawing. So if I look here, I've got a light green area. I'm going to pick my regular green color to layer and shade over top of that to kind of add a shadow. I want this hole to look like it goes back into the distance. So I'm going to add a little bit of a shaded edge on top of my light green with my medium value green color. Not very firm pressure. Again, stroke same direction, but I'm kind of fading this as I go to the right here. I'm fading it out. I want it to give a little bit darker edge on the inside of this wall. To the underside sections, I don't have any color darker than dark green in my color scheme, so I'm going to go ahead and take a black, and I'm going to put black on lightly and kind of fade that out as it's coming towards us. Just kind of fade it out there. Same thing on the bottom. And inside the hole, I've used regular green. I'm going to go ahead and take my dark green and add a darker layer over top of that, give it a little bit of shading so it looks like it recedes, it goes back into the distance. It's a little bit darker in there. The light's not really hitting inside that area. Using shading and layering will give your drawing the illusion of a higher scale of depth. So here's a before shading and layering picture, and here's an after, and I think you can see a nice difference in the depth. And here's a finished example. Flat, smooth coloring. I've enhanced the depth with some shading and layering, and I've got my splatters and arrows colored.